Are you happy at work? Do you feel that you can fully express yourself? Are you listened to? Do you feel like your colleagues and your boss are supportive of you? Do you feel psychologically safe? Or at the end of each day, do you feel stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, and like you're heading towards burnout? If you identify with anything I've just said, it's a good indicator that you could be in a toxic work environment. In this video, that's exactly what I'm exploring. I'm Jo Banks. I've been a professional executive business coach for almost 15 years, and I'm sharing what I know. Before we get into the content of today's video, just a quickie. I've decided that when I hit 1,000 subscribers, which won't be long now, I will start to do live so that I can interact with all of you in real time. So if you haven't done so already, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you get an alert whenever I finally do go live. I'm so excited to do that. So thanks very much for your support. The definition. A toxic work environment is a workplace where negative, disruptive, or harmful dynamics are at play, significantly impacting your well-being and productivity. It's characterised by various signs, including high stress levels, poor communication, lack of trust, bullying, harassment, favouritism, and a prevailing sense of negativity. In settings like that, you'll likely experience increased anxiety, stress, and burnout. And of course, leading on from that is decreased job satisfaction. And also at the further end, physical and mental health issues. The toxicity within these environments often stems from dysfunctional team dynamics, ineffective leadership, unclear expectations, or a culture that tolerates unhealthy behaviours. Signs of toxicity manifest through breakdowns in communication, power imbalances, negative interactions amongst co-workers, and an absence of autonomy for employees. Identifying a toxic work environment involves recognising these signs, understanding their impact on your well-being, and acknowledging the root causes contributing to this really detrimental atmosphere. In essence, a toxic work environment significantly hampers your productivity, your mental health, and your job satisfaction, ultimately obstructing an organisation's potential for growth and success. 5 signs of a toxic work environment. Identifying the signs of toxicity in the workplace is crucial. As I've already mentioned, toxic work environments significantly impact your well-being, both physically and mentally in the long term. So recognizing these signs is crucial because, as you've heard me say so many times before, awareness is everything because we can't change what we're not aware of. So let's take a look at these 5. Number 1. Poor communication and lack of transparency. One of the most evident signs of a toxic work environment is poor communication. When there's a constant breakdown in communication channels, a lack of transparency, or instances where important information is withheld, it creates an atmosphere of distrust and confusion. This lack of clarity often leads to misunderstandings, unresolved conflicts, and a pervasive sense of unease within the workplace. Common examples that I often see with my coaching clients include withholding important information and then being criticised for making the wrong decision when you didn't have all the information to begin with, being missed off circulation lists, not being included in WhatsApp group chats, not being invited to outside work events, not being invited to meetings where your input is crucial or where important decisions will be made that will impact you. Number 2, unhealthy power dynamics and favouritism. Toxic work environments often harbour unhealthy power dynamics and favouritism. When there's a prevalent culture of favouring certain employees over others, it can lead to feelings of resentment and disenchantment amongst team members. Additionally, unequal distribution of power or decision making, where some individuals consistently hold more influence or are granted preferential treatment, fosters an atmosphere of unfairness and disengagement. Common examples that I frequently see are unfairness in task allocation, unequal distribution of work where some people get more than others, unfairness in the types of tasks, easy versus hard, giving praise or even awards to less deserving team members, giving poor performance ratings or even enhanced performance ratings without adequate evidence, inequality in the allocation of time, attention, and other resources. Number 3, negative interactions and harassment. Instances of negative interactions, bullying, harassment, or discrimination among co-workers or with a boss are glaring signs of toxicity. Whether it's overt instances of verbal abuse or more subtle forms of mistreatment, such as behaviours creating hostile and unsafe work environments, it severely impacts employees' mental health, again contributing to increased stress, anxiety, and a decline in overall morale. I've talked a lot about bullying and narcissism in my previous video, so you might want to go back and have a look at some of those to look at what those behaviours can look like in detail. However, here are just a few samples. Putting you down privately, which could be classed as covert behaviour, or even publicly. Talking about you behind your back and gossiping. Turning others against you. Being confrontational, rude, or mean. Gaslighting, and again, I've done an entire video on gaslighting, but that might include denying that they asked you to do something, and that's why getting everything in writing and making those notes of interactions with someone who's bullying you is crucial. Making jokes at your expense and then saying things like, "I'm only joking, you're too sensitive." That's a really good example of gaslighting. Next, we have micromanagement and a lack of autonomy. Micromanagement is another telltale sign of a toxic work environment. Feeling excessively monitored, scrutinised, or restricted in your role leads to feelings of frustration, decreased motivation, and hindered productivity. A lack of autonomy in decision-making or execution of tasks can stifle creativity, innovation, and fostering, again, that environment of stagnation and disempowerment. Examples of this might include not being able to make even the simplest of decisions without running it by your boss, having your boss scrutinise absolutely everything you do, having to report back to them on every little thing, not feeling trusted just to be able to get on with your job when it's something you've probably done for years without any close monitoring, feeling like you're always being watched or you're constantly in trouble. That's not healthy. It's really not a healthy way to live. And I know because I've been there. Number 5, excessive stress, burnout, and high turnover rates. A toxic work environment often results in a high stress atmosphere, contributing to increased levels of burnout amongst employees. Persistent stress negatively impacts mental health, causing physical and emotional exhaustion. A significant indicator of a toxic workplace is higher turnover rates as employees escape the detrimental effects of such a hostile environment. That leads to a loss of talent and continuity within the organisation. Signs to look out for in you or others. Changes in sleep patterns, too much or too little, waking up in the middle of the night and not being able to get back to sleep. Unexplained aches and pains with no apparent underlying cause. Stomach and digestive issues. changes in appetite, either overeating, craving high fat, sugary, high carb foods, or an inability to eat. I know that when I feel sad or even a little bit depressed, I eat, but when I'm very stressed or very anxious, I don't. Incidentally, when we feel sad or depressed, it's typically because we're dwelling on the past. If we feel stressed or anxious, we're usually focusing on the future and what may or may not happen. Next, we have inability to concentrate or make sound decisions. That's because the prefrontal cortex has gone online. I've talked about that lots in other videos. We have overthinking, panicking, worrying, much more than you would usually do. Feeling exhausted and fatigued, no matter how much sleep or rest you get. Losing interest in things you once loved, like hobbies or other interests. Numbing is a massive indicator, and that looks like excessive online gaming, shopping, social media scrolling, eating, drugs, alcohol, excessive Netflix binging. All of these types of behaviors indicate that you're in the freeze state of the fight, flight, freeze stress response. Trouble maintaining relationships. This is because if you've been in this state for a long time, you've likely entered what we call survival mode, and all of your brain's energy is being taken up on just surviving. So trying to communicate and support others when you're in this state can be incredibly difficult. You can watch my full video on this topic, Is Your Job Making You Sick? I'll leave the link below. The wrap up. Recognizing that you're working in a toxic environment is crucial for both your mental and physical well-being. First and foremost, acknowledging the toxicity enables you to safeguard your mental health. Toxic work environments are breeding grounds for stress and anxiety, and even depression due to the constant negativity, unrealistic expectations, and general lack of support. By identifying the toxicity, you can take proactive measures to protect your mental resilience, whether by seeking HR support, setting boundaries, or considering changing your job situation. Not only that, but recognizing a toxic environment is essential for your professional growth. Toxic work environments stifle creativity, productivity, and collaboration, hindering your personal and career development. Also, and maybe most importantly, the longer you stay in a toxic work environment, the more it will affect your confidence, self-esteem, and self-worth. And that affects everything, not least your ability to secure another role in a healthy organization. Acknowledging the toxicity will allow you to reassess your goals and values, helping you seek opportunities that align with you, your values, and your aspirations. It opens the door to exploring healthier work environments where you can thrive, contribute meaningfully, and cultivate a positive and fulfilling career trajectory. Ultimately, recognizing a toxic work environment is the first step towards reclaiming control over your well-being and professional path. What next? If you recognize that you're in a toxic work environment, but are staying because of the whole CV, resume writing, interview skills, job hunting, if that just feels all too overwhelming, I've got an online program that can help with that. I've helped over 6,500 people find jobs through my corporate training programs, and my online program takes all the best bits from that training and wraps it up into one easy to follow package. So don't let that be an excuse you're using for not taking the steps you know you need to take to get out of a toxic environment. Life is too short, and things will not get better until you take control. In the next video, I'll be discussing psychological safety at work. So if you haven't done so already, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss it. And if there's anything you'd like to see me cover in upcoming videos, please put it in the comments section below. I read and respond to everything. And finally, as I said at the beginning of the video, I've decided that once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to start doing live so that I can answer all of your burning questions. So that's a further reason to hit that subscribe button. Finally, thank you to everybody who stays until the very end, and thank you so much for your continued support. It really does mean the absolute world to me.